Okay guys, let's talk about the overall build of this board. The deck is a forged carbon fiber and it weighs total 35 pounds. The length of the deck is 39.7 inches and the width of the deck is 10 inches. Now the underbelly of this deck holds a massive 1450 watt hour battery, 12S 8P Molicel P42A battery. It's also packing a LaCroix Stormcore 60D ESC and these massive 3250 watt motors, each 6.3, 6.8, 190 kV motors. I also like how they mounted the motors. Its stance is quite higher than other boards, so if you want to pick up the board by the front trucks and try to drag it, it won't scrape. Motors are also protected by these extended belt covers that I think are 3D printed. They extend out further than the actual motors, so if the board is stood completely upright or just bangs into a wall, it'll protect the motors. The Endurance setup that we have is a 7-inch Sun-made tires with 50AT pulleys. The Endurance is also utilizing double kingpin trucks. MBOARDS decided to collaborate with Riptide to utilize 96A bushings to have maximum stability. And for the front truck, they did 93A for the road side and 96A for the board side. As you can see, both boards here have great clearance, but keep in mind the Evolve Hadian is a 12S 4P setup and the Endurance is a 12S 8P setup, and yet the clearance is very similar. So not only does it hold a massive battery in a 2-in-1 setup, but it's also slim at the same time. Now let's check out the brand new VX4 remote. Once you power it up, you're introduced to the MBOARDS logo, and then the beautiful LCD colored screen shows you all the data. In my personal opinion, the size, the shape, the weight is absolutely perfect. I'd choose this over the big, bulky, no data screen Hoyt Puck any day. Now this might sound a little silly, but their lanyard remote has a little mechanism, allows you to take away the slack on your wrist, and then you can clip it into place. Now, I don't know about you, but whether I'm filming, I'm texting, or I'm just distracted, I don't want to drop my remote, so I'm always using the lanyards. A lot of these remotes don't have an actual mechanism for you to actually get rid of the slack on the lanyards. Now the remote is VESC based, so it has tons and tons of features. A lot of the stuff I'm not too familiar with, but a lot of you DIY guys will know every screen that you're about to see. Every customer will receive a 5-amp charger with their board. I currently have a 2-amp charger for the board, but by the time I drop this video, hopefully they have the 5 amps in stock. All the boards come with a 100-day warranty against manufacturer defects. If something malfunctions on the board, they'll be happy to ship you replacement items. And since they're in the United States, shipping the board won't be that big of a cost if you need them to repair it. You could also ship your board for a free tune-up, and they'll check the board out to make sure it's running at 100%. Or if you're in the Nevada area, you can drop in and they'll be happy to help you out. Every Endurance is built with standardized connectors, compatible with motor mounts and wheel pulleys from other companies, and it's based around open source VESC based ESC. So basically it's always ready for an upgrade. Their assembly and their quality control is based in the USA. Now the top selling point in my opinion is 2-in-1 capabilities. Having all these specs packed in a 2-in-1 production board is just a game changer for me. Having a 2-in-1 board that now has the same performance and the same range as a boutique board that costs around $4,000 to $6,000 makes me think companies like LaCroix and Cali just aren't going in the right direction. Don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to disrespect those products. I just think they're very bulky and chunky, and they're just nothing like an electric longboard anymore. Having a 2-in-1 board that is VESC based with the LaCroix Stormcore ESC just gives you so many different options for so many different riders out there. Now that we know all about the board, let's see how she performs.
Okay, so here we are. MBOARDS Endurance 58T stock setup. 58T 7-inch, that's their stock setup. Max is on the onboard Zeus Pro 60T 6-inch all-terrain. Max has a full battery and he's in turbo mode. I'm in high mode with the full battery. Giant hill test, very steep. We're going to do a rolling start and we're going to punch it. On go, okay? Let's start rolling. All right, 1, 2, 3, go. Bye-bye. Woo! Not even close. Okay, same hill test. MBOARDS Endurance 58T, 7-inch all-terrain. Onsra Black Carb 3, 60T, stock 6-inch setup. Max is on a full battery, so am I. We're gonna do a rolling start, and then we're gonna punch it. All right, 1, 2, 3, go. Damn! Woo! Not even close. I'm doing 27 miles per hour up this hill. That's fucking crazy. Okay, MBOARDS Endurance 58T. Max is on the Carbon Hadian Stark 47T. All-terrain 6-inch tires. Huge hill, a rolling start. Let's do it. All right, 1, 2, 3, go. Woo! Just what I thought. Damn! Bye-bye! Woo! Okay, the main event. It maxes on the Meepo Hurricane, 55T, 155mm tires, technically 6-inch, 58T Endurance 7-inch. Giant hill, rolling start. Let's do it. On go. 1, 2, 3, go. Woo! Damn! 27 miles per hour up this fucking hill. Woo! Alright, up speed test, going up a slight hill, 58T. .34 on the nose. Alright, acceleration test on high mode, full battery. Alright, 1, 2, 3, go. Woo! It picks up after a little bit. The initial acceleration isn't crazy, but it's not terrible. But after 20 feet or so, it takes off. Alright, I'm gonna do a brake test at 10 miles per hour. Alright, 1, 2, 3, brake. Oof, those are strong brakes.
As you guys can see, the MBOARDS Endurance is like nothing else. No other 2-in-1 board can touch it when it comes to this type of performance. But I do think the acceleration off the line could be improved by the best gap. This still isn't my field to give any advice. Make sure you contact MBOARDS before you adjust anything, because you can void the warranty if you don't know what you're doing. Now, I will say this, the acceleration and the throttle curve was dramatically better than the LaCroix barrel. Now, with that LaCroix barrel video, I had about 4 or 5 DIY guys commenting with personal insults because I didn't want to dive into the vest cap. I still don't understand why they didn't respect that I didn't want to do it. So my only response was, if it's so easy to adjust, why didn't lycaon just tune it better? Point is, MBOARDS tune this great. Now, where the performance really shined here was mid-range power. Anything after around 10 miles per hour or so, it would take off. Check it out. So as I mentioned before, this board has great clearance, it has 7-inch tires, and since it has better performance than pretty much every other 2-in-1 board out there, it made off-roading even more fun. Check it out. So the range test took a few days to finish, but I finally got it done. 155-pound rider, and the temperature was constantly anywhere from 30 to 39 degrees Fahrenheit. I reached 44.1 miles of range, which is absolute bananas. I know for a fact I would get much more if I wasn't off-road and if the weather was decently warm. Now let's see how the MBOARD Endurance performs with a few different street wheel setups.
$37.5. And again, it was up a slight hill. Okay, so here we go. 120 cloud wheels, 36T, giant hill test. I'm on 90% battery, so storm core. So here we go, reset. I think the 14S 4P ace deck went up this like 27, 28 miles per hour. Let's get into it. Definitely the easiest any board has climbed up that hill. Definitely, for sure. 32.6 miles per hour up the damn hill. And I let off the throttle a couple times. That's crazy. 1, 2, 3, go.
Now, not only does the Endurance have the capability of going off-roading with cloud wheels because of the performance and the clearance, but it's super fun rocking 120 cloud wheels with this board. It carves well, it grips well, it looks good, it's fun to dance on, and it's just a very safe setup. Now, Now with bigger setups like this, I always prefer 105mm wheels, and the cloud wheels didn't disappoint. I reached 32 miles per hour, and that's with 36T. Now if you want an even higher top speed, MBOARDS also sells 23 and 29T pulleys. Now like I mentioned, with these type of bigger boards, especially with this type of performance, I prefer a 105mm wheel. It's not too big, it's not too small. Some people prefer a 120mm cloud wheel or like a 110mm torque board wheel. I just think 105s is just the right size. I also think the 105mm category has better quality wheels as well. Now total street range, we reached 64.4 miles of range. This was doing off-roading with cloud wheels, speed tests with cloud wheels. A few days with testing other street wheels, it was below 10 degrees outside. Now I'm quite sure if you have decent weather, you'll get so much more range. Okay, let's talk about the controversial double kingpin trucks on this powerhouse board.
Okay guys, you want to be more stable on double kingpin? These are the things you have to do. You have to be one with the board. You have to constantly know what's under your feet and how to maneuver the board at all times. I'm not telling you to carve like me or to become some kind of carve genius here. That's not what this is about. It's about you knowing the behavioral traits under your feet at all times. Basically, you're making the board your bitch. Doing like 19 miles per hour right now, 20, and that's a good speed for feeling out underneath your feet. You have to know how the board behaves under your feet at all times. And then you can get little higher speeds little by little. Bend your knees, keep your butt out. Heel toe, heel toe. Constantly feel the maneuverability underneath your feet. Because once you have the board 100% under your control, then we can start going at a higher speed. Because if you're not doing this, you have no business going higher speeds. Okay, so now that you got full control of your board from 15 miles per hour to call it 22, 23 miles per hour, then you're ready for higher speeds. With higher speeds, what I like to do is not just go fast all of a sudden. You gradually get up there. You feel it out. Feel the board. So now you're touching into new territory. So I'm going to start hitting the throttle. I don't have to yank on it all the way. And if I feel a little uncomfortable, I'm going to let off a little bit. Keep my knees bent. Keep my butt out. And again, I'm going to hit the throttle. I'm not going to yank on it all the way. I'm going to start going. If I feel a little bit uncomfortable underneath my feet, I'm going to let off. So again, if I'm getting more comfortable, I'm going to yank on the throttle, get in my stance, gradually get up there. Gotta let off there. So let's gradually get up there. You don't have to hit full throttle all of a sudden. Let's just gradually get up there. All right, so now it's been a few weeks. You've been carving little by little, getting the feel for the machine underneath your feet. You're getting up to higher speeds little by little. And then guess what? You can gun it whenever you want. Now you can understand fully the machine underneath your feet. And when you have that feeling, then you can yank on the throttle whenever you want. So if I'm doing 22 miles per hour now, yank the throttle. Woo! Let off a little bit, have some fun. Got a little speed bump here. All right. 20 miles per hour, then yank the throttle. Woo-wee! Look at that. 31, instantly. That's what's so fun about powerful boards and learning how to carve and having double kingpin. Woo! Trust me, double kingpin will give you best of both worlds as long as you practice.
Now, no physics major here, but with double kingpin setups, you have a total of 8 bushings, 8 washers, and 4 bolts to bolt down, which tells me you have tons and tons of different options to tune the maneuverability of the board underneath your feet the way you want to. First off, you have dozens of different durometer bushings you can put on the board side or the road side. Then you can tweak the top barrel to have a little bit more maneuverability than the bottom barrel. Then you also have the options of different types of washers. There's flat washers, there's cupped washers, there's high wall washers that you can wrap around every single bushing or just one of them if you want. The point is, just because there's more pivoting that's available on a double kingpin truck doesn't mean that you can't dial it in for more stability. Not only that, if you practice more, you can have best of both worlds. Nothing worthwhile comes easy. Now, correct me if I'm wrong here, but a channel truck has a total of 4 bushings. Now, each bushing set that's in one truck has to match, which means one truck can only have one certain durometer inside that truck. So it's a whopping total of 2 different durometer settings you get to choose from with channel trucks. Also, correct me if I'm wrong here, there's no different types of washers to choose from. From what I remember with my Flux and my LaCroix barrel, I was told not to loosen up the trucks too much because it's dangerous, because the bushings can actually fall out of place because there's not enough pressure. So not only do you have 8 different variations when it comes to double kingpin, but you have dozens and dozens of different durometers to choose from. So you also have 4 choices to place that one durometer bushing on each truck. On top of all these different variations and different choices of where to put certain durometer bushings, there's also a few different companies that make these bushings. You also have the few different choices of different cupped washers, flat washers, or high wall washers. But most importantly, having access to 4 kingpin with every turn, whether you're tightening or loosening, dramatically affects the way the board behaves. So if I want to do a little bit tighter on the rear, on the top, it'll actually help my stability. If I still want to maintain good stability on the front, I maximize with 96A stiff bushing with it bolted down pretty tight, but I still want to have fun with carving, so I use flat washers on the top, and I also use a softer durometer bushing up top along with the flat washer, and I keep it a little bit more loose than the bottom one. And that's just one variation. There are tons and tons of different ways to set up the ride the way you want to. And double kingpin has that availability. Now, please don't get it twisted. I'm not bashing any other truck style or anybody else's riding style. I respect all riding styles and I respect all different setups. But that respect should work both ways. If you don't want to learn to adapt with double kingpin, that's fine. I respect that. But it is available. Now, this is a reenactment because this came out of nowhere and I simply wasn't filming, didn't notice it till the last second. Good thing double kingpin is very good with agility, otherwise I probably would have ran over that power line. Final thoughts. Remember with the LaCroix barrel review, I had 8% battery left and the board could even go over 8 miles per hour. It was up a very slight hill. Okay, so I am at 8% battery. And just like the LaCroix barrel review, this is the same exact slight hill I went up when I had 8%, and I think I did 8 miles per hour. Now, I wouldn't say picking up the LaCroix is a very difficult task. I'm just telling you that since the enclosure and the deck are so wide, it's not simple to carry. This is only a 12S setup and look how thick it is. It's not really comfortable holding it in your hands, especially how wide it is. Now, the MBOARDS Endurance is actually about a half a pound heavier than the actual LaCroix barrel. However, it is so much easier to carry. The edges of the deck are nice and smooth, and the enclosure isn't crazy bulky and it's not getting in the way. And the craziest part is, this is a much bigger battery pack. My point is, a company finally made a 2-in-1 board with boutique parts built in. This matte carbon fiber finish is absolutely amazing. Also, using riptide bushings was a great choice. But most of all, I can appreciate how much blood, sweat, and tears came in with building this board. All the boutique brands I've ever owned always seem to have some kind of big disappointment. Whether it's not a good full-tuned balanced board all around, like for instance it doesn't get good acceleration and power with a good throttle curve, or sometimes the range is terrible, or sometimes there's a malfunction and I can't get any support, or it's not as agile as I want it to be, or it's a lot bigger than what I thought it was going to be, or most of all, it doesn't have 2-in-1 capabilities. This board here crosses everything off the list. Power, speed, agility, stability, design, customer service, innovation, durability, range, mobility, and most of all, diversity. Having a beast of an all-terrain setup that I can shred on the streets and then take off-roading and not have range anxiety, all the while still feels like a longboard. This is it. This is the last board you'll ever need to purchase. Not only does it have everything I just mentioned, but you can always upgrade it later on due to its VESC-based ESC. So unless e-skate companies are about to launch hover electric boards, then you're going to be good for the next 5 to 10 years with this board. Some people spend north of $3,000 just to get decent amount of range and good power with these boutique boards. But with my discount code, you'd be spending less than $2,600 on the MBOARD Endurance and having more power, more range, along with the option of hundreds of different wheel setups, dozens of different pulleys, and most of all, it still feels like an electric longboard. E-skate is all about different styles and different preferences, and the MBOARD Endurance, along with its results of its performance, has it all. Now I'm going to leave off with this. When's the last time an e-skate company sent you a holiday card? MBOARDS is awesome in every way. Thank you for watching, guys. Please comment, like, share, subscribe. Have a good one, guys.